Yeah. Run it back, Nation. Sixers talk with Romp Nation. What is going on? Sixers Nation. What is going on? This is Post Game Live, Sixers Post Game Live, Run It Back Philly and Sixers Talk with Romp. The collaboration of all collaborations. The Sixers finally get back in the win column so everybody can calm down. So the whole fan base can just calm down. The first 15 games of the season, the sky is falling. Everybody can calm down. Good team, Oklahoma City Thunder, second seed in the West so far this season. We get the dub, so everybody can chill out. We're going to talk about what we think about the game we just watched, how we got that dub, and a whole bunch of other things, and read your comments and things. So be active in the chat. So before we get into it, give us a like. Give the stream a like. If you're watching on Romp's channel, if you're watching on my channel, whichever one. Hit the like button, whichever one you're watching it on. Subscribe to both. Subscribe to both channels. And, be active in the chat. What's up, Rob? How's it going, man?
All right. I just want to start off by saying I feel like our schedule has been very tough in terms of, traveling and 6 games and 9 nights. I'm not making excuses because they should have beat the Cavaliers if they took the first half seriously. But if you look at their 5 losses, I feel like 4 of those losses were pretty predictable considering back-to-backs and just playing good competition. I feel like the Cavaliers game is one where you're like, okay, come on now. You got to be better than that. They're without Donovan Mitchell, even though Darius Garland is a different animal when he gets more freedom without Donovan Mitchell. And the Cavs have been playing really good basketball lately, but still, they should have won that game for sure. And you could just tell tonight they were more energized overall as a team. So I think those couple days off really helped the Sixers. And I'm glad that we kind of had a rough, schedule because it should help them in the long run. And it's good to face that adversity early in the season, get your legs under you. So although it hurt us in terms of losses, I think it's good for them.
Yeah, that's why. And people are used to me being the most negative Sixers fan they've ever met. So, I guess everybody thought I was going to freak out over some of those losses. And I was just like, first of all, I'm so happy that some of the things that were going on last year are gone, including the head coach. It's hard for me to be upset, after some losses like that. And I knew it was going to happen. I predicted it. We started 8-1 or 9-1 or whatever. And I was like, we'll go on a slump and, everybody will freak out again and whatever. And I predicted that on the money. But yeah, 6 games in 9 days, you're tired. And when you don't have your legs, you don't have your shot. And with the last game we played, we shot 21% from 3. You know what I mean? I just didn't care that much. I was like, whatever. We'll go get rested and we'll look at all the things we did wrong. And we'll, come back hopefully looking like that 9-1 team and not the past couple of games. And that's, exactly what we did. But in those moments, the fan base wants, oh my God, we absolutely have to make a major blockbuster trade right now, or, Embiid can't lead us, or Maxey's not the guy, or what are just so many insane overreactions. I'm like, we're going to see this year in the playoffs, the solidified answer to those things. But yeah, I just saw a tired team. It was six games in 9 nights. Tonight, you see energy. Oh my God, look. Wow, they actually started out the game, hustling up and down the floor. We actually built the big lead, not the big lead, but the initial lead in the game. I think my takeaway from what I just watched is no matter what happens with the Sixers, no matter what year it is, no matter what players are on the team, no matter what coach is coaching the team, we cannot just finish the game in like stress-free, simple fashion. We can't just be up 12 and like hit another dagger 3 and win the game by 15. Yeah. We completely just start. I don't know what is it? What is it? Something in? Is it in the jersey? Is it in the Sixers jersey? Is something in the Sixers DNA? They just start turning the ball over, just getting rebounds. The rebound and Maxey lands out of bounds somehow. an Isaiah Joe miss, an offensive rebound, an Isaiah Joe three, a Chet Holmgren down the lane, Chet pulling up in Embiid's face. And I'm like, are you kidding me? They get it all the way down to, 2 points? And then, I'm so glad I just remembered this. The most Tobias Harris play I've ever seen in my entire time watching Tobias Harris play basketball. We inbound the ball. They triple team this guy. I'm screaming, Tobias, pass the ball. And he picks up an offensive foul with not many seconds left, giving Oklahoma City the ball back and a chance to try to cut the lead. Even total chaos the last 2 minutes. And we went on a scoring drought within the last couple of minutes. We went on like a 3 or 4 minute scoring drought too. So the end of the game, came down to typical Sixers stuff, but I saw a lot more energy. I saw a lot just better basketball from a lot of players, and they looked much more rested than they did in that 6 games in 9 days stretch. So I do think everybody can calm down, but something about the end of the games, dude. My God.
Yeah, I think tonight was more of a case. I thought the process was pretty solid. I mean, Embiid had like a wide open mid range where if he made it, it would have like hurt their momentum, but he missed it. It rattled in and out. And then they had like a wide open three from Tobias Harris, and everyone knew that wasn't going in. Right when it left his hand, you could tell that did not have a chance, because sometimes you just know Tobias ain't making it. And tonight was one of those Tobias nights where it was like the old Tobias. So it was tough to watch him at some points, but he did have a really good stretch in the third quarter. Now, in the first half, Nick Nurse went with Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, and then they had like Marcus Morris, Pat Bev, and another player out there. And that's when they lost momentum, because they just started taking wild 3-pointers. Like Embiid took a step back. Like it was bad shot selection. And I'm looking on Twitter and everyone's like, why is Marcus Morris out there? And I understand, like, yeah, Morris ain't that great. But Embiid and Maxey, they got to carry that unit. You got to have better shot selection, and they should be able to carry that unit. Like, I'm not looking at the role players to do that. And then the second half, you saw Tobias and Embiid were running that unit, and Tobias kind of went off. He had a nice pick and roll play, and he really he really led a run where in the first half, OKC got back in the game with that same unit. So I feel like a lot of times people kind of look to blame like the role guys, but it's just like little things like Maxey. How about not be JJ Barea in the first quarter? Like look to shoot the basketball. And Joel Embiid, let's have a little better shot selection. Let's not dribble above the 3-point line. Oh, you're cooking them in the painted area. You got 3 quick fouls on Chet. Let's continue to cook in the painted area and not stretch to the 3-point line. Like just little things like that. Your 2 best players got to be better, because when Maxey got it going like late in the third quarter, Covington started hitting shots. Like those Morris players, Covingtons, they feed off Maxey. Everyone feeds off Maxey. And when he's tuned out, whatever it is, when he's doing his JJ Barea point guard impersonation, it affects the rest of the team. And Maxey just got to know he doesn't need to be a point guard. He needs to be a scoring threat every single possession. He doesn't even have to score the rock. Just look to drive and get in the painted area. And I understand it's a learning experience because he's adjusting to the physicality. He's probably tired, very tired, because he's leading the league in minutes. And we went over the schedule. But still, when he is aggressive, it's a different offense. And once again, everyone's saying we should add Zach LaVine. We put up 127 points against the OKC Thunder, which I don't know where they rank defensively, but I know they're pretty decent defense.
Yeah, they got a lot of talent, and they got a guy like Lou Dort on the other side, and some guys with length. And they can't be a terrible defensive team. Let's start with Tyrese Maxey, because that's like the kind of narrative that was going on in the playback stream that I was in watching the game. By the way, playback.tv/runningbackphilly. Download the app, watch the games, watch all Sixers games with me on there. But yeah, that's the narrative that was going on in there, is that Tyrese Maxey's not being aggressive. And in the first quarter, I was very annoyed by it, because I saw 2 plays right off the bat where We run a ball screen. He comes around the screen. The defender went over the screen. There's no help at all. The lane is completely wide open, and he passes the ball to whoever, DeAnthony Melton or somebody, Tobias Harris, right? The first couple plays of the game. And I'm like, I just don't understand why you're not just attacking right off the as soon as the game starts. Just attack. I just don't get it. And I saw one a little bit later where he got past him again and he kicked one to Patrick Beverly in the corner, like smothered or
Yeah.
something, or on the wing, and Pat Bev shot the ball. And I'm just like, dude, I need you to know that you are the man. And I just, I don't know what Nurse is telling him. I know it's not what Doc was telling him, but from Nurse's just a couple press conferences at the beginning of the season, he was like, it's not enough. He needs to be more aggressive. So I hope he stays on him. But it just seems to me like Tyrese Maxey's just in the beginning of the game. Usually he's trying to facilitate and feel out the defense, and he doesn't want to force up shots. I don't know if he cares about his numbers, but he might care about his numbers and his percentages. And like, if I start chucking up shots in the first quarter, it's gonna, I'm gonna end up 5 for 27 or something. He definitely seems hesitant. He still ended up with 28 and 8 boards and 3 assists, which is funny. Somebody in the chat was like, all that passing he did, and he only ended up with 3 assists. But he still had 28 points. But I just think that 50-point game that we saw, everybody then thought like, oh, he's going to be a killer now and I thought it too. For every game, he's going to be a killer. And I don't mean score 50 points a game, but have that same mentality. I'm the type of player that has the ability to score 50 points, and I'm going to show you that. And he's just been so far like feeling out the first quarter, passing the ball around, not attacking. And then he gets into like the second quarter, he starts going when Embiid goes to the bench and he's out there with his lineup, which, by the way, that lineup fell apart. The first rotation lineup, they had a lead and Embiid went to the bench, and it was like Maxey, Pat Bev, Paul Reed, Covington, but not Batum, Morris, I think. I don't remember the exact lineup, but that lineup gave up a lead. And I was just like, Maxey, this is your lineup. You need to attack here. And he went on a couple spots where he did. And and then, in the third and the fourth, he had a couple different runs. So a slow, progressive 28 points from him. But yeah, just especially in the beginning of the game, I just want him to attack more. That's all. What do you think it
Yeah,
is?
I mean, I think he's just trying to be a point guard. I think the narrative that he can't be a point guard is kind of. I also think he's like trying to make like advanced passes because he sees it in the film, and I feel like he wants to do it. Even if he has a shot, he's like, I just want to try it out. So I think it's just a learning experience for him because he's also been struggling with the physicality. I don't know if you noticed, like he's been complaining so much
Mm.
for Maxey to the referees like lately. And I feel like he's foul baiting a little too much at times, like looking for the foul rather than just, go through someone and get the bucket because he can get the bucket over anyone if he's, on top of his game. So I think he's struggling with just like a whole bunch of things because he has all this pressure on him because he's the number one guy and he's playing great. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm just being critical of him because I have a lot of expectations for him.
Yeah.
But I mean, 28 points, 8 of 17. He had a good game. It's just like I think he could have even had a better game. And he's only 23. Yeah, he's my age,
Mm-hmm.
23. So I mean, this is going to happen. It's as expected. Um, but if he is this guy where he's just kind of, coasting in the first half and then he takes over in the fourth quarter because he's top 5 in fourth quarter scoring, that's
Mm-hmm.
cool. I like that. I like that a lot. I just need a little more aggression to begin the game. A little more. Not a whole ton because you do want to get your teammates involved and in their spots. But if the offense is lacking, that's when Maxey needs to get going because also he's a guy who needs a couple of shots to get going. Like in the first quarter,
Yeah.
he usually misses a couple shots. So I would like him to get shots up in the first so he's kind of in a rhythm. And potentially when he does hit a shot in the first, all of a sudden, he'll hit 5 straight shots because he's that type of player. I
Mm-hmm.
just need him I need him like Jamal Murray. Look to score 24/7. If you're getting guarded, like at times he's been getting guarded like James Harden was. Like they were throwing 2 at him all the time. They're packing the paint. If you're getting
Yeah.
guarded like that, then kick it out. But just always look to attack and run the 2-man game with Joel Embiid. I feel like Melton at times in the first half, most of the time, is more involved than Tyrese Maxey in terms of getting downhill, and that should never be the case.
Yeah, two things. I think first of all, I think Tyrese Maxey still overthinks the game a lot.
Yeah.
Like speaking of those passes, like watching film and trying to make those skip passes or whatever, you can kind of tell sometimes that they're anticipated, almost like a quarterback staring down his receiver instead of reading the field, right? He's not letting the game come to him and making the decision based off of what the defense does. You can tell a lot, like when the lane's wide open and he skips the ball. I'm like, why are you passing the ball? The lane's wide open. It's because he already knew he was going to pass it before he went around the screen. It's that type of thing. I think Tyrese Maxey's such a smart person. He probably overthinks the game. Maybe being such a smart guy can be more of a detriment to a guy with the ball in his hands like that. Maybe if he was a little dumber, you know what I mean? If he was a little more J.R. Smith, if he was a little
Yeah.
more like think less, play more, just instinctual type of player and not so much thinking. Maybe he should pop in. Like I said on the stream, he should pop a little edible or something before a game. Maybe slows mind down a little bit. He'll be out here getting 40 pieces left and right. But yeah, I just think he's overthinking the game.
I
And
think
yeah, go ahead.
oh, sorry. I just wanted to say I don't think he thinks he's on the level of Embiid in the offense yet, but I think if you ask everyone on the Sixers staff, they believe it too, and I think Embiid believes it as well. But Embiid's so aggressive that at times it's like, Embiid wants to shoot, and you need to get that type of attitude into Maxey. Also, Tobias wants to shoot.
Mhm.
D'Anthony Melton wants to drive on Chet, and he can't make a layup 95% of the time. Like,
Contract year.
we yeah, like, you need he needs an unconscious, like, confident mindset, like you were saying, J.R. Smith.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, we really don't know yet what kind of total kind of player Tyrese Maxey is at 23. He still has so much development time. I will say that myself included, the fan base and myself included, to jump out to the start that he had to the season right after the James Harden trade. We're like, oh, we won this trade by a landslide. We still won the trade by a landslide. What we got back for that guy is just still ridiculous to me, especially them taking PJ Tucker on top of that. But just the way Maxey started the season, we're like, he's a superstar. Just at 23 years old is a little bit aggressive. If you look at any superstar in the league, most of them, there's obviously exceptions, players that are just phenoms like LeBron James or even Anthony Edwards right now at 22. But Tyrese Maxey at 23, it's like we still need to just pump the brakes a little bit. And we want him to be one because we're in win now mode. And I think that'll continuously be a thing with him and Embiid. Like, is he on the timeline? Is he good enough right now to lead you in like a fourth quarter game 7 playoff series? And Jamal Murray's such a perfect player to throw out there to compare him to. Is he at that level yet? Was Jamal Murray at that level at 23 years old? Was Steph Curry? Was Damian Lillard? Was it, so it's tough. He still needs a lot of time to figure out, what he is as a player. But we can all agree he just needs to flat out be more aggressive, especially in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I think he is ready, and I don't think he realizes it quite yet, especially if you have a teammate like Joel Embiid who simply, if you do a dribble handoff, you're going to get an advantage most of the time. And if you don't, then Embiid has an advantage. So it's like, this is why, like, I understand the Zach LaVine stuff. I get it because at times the offense looks very suspect. But I'm looking at Kelly Oubre, I'm looking at Tobias, and I'm like, that production offensively, as the other guys, is pretty solid, along with D'Anthony Melton. And then I'm looking at the impact of Nick Batum, just because he's a smart, high IQ player, makes the right passes, cuts when he needs to, gets an offensive board. And I'm like, I would love Zach LaVine, but I feel like the answer is Maxey, get more aggressive, and really work on that Embiid and Maxey 2-man game, perfect it, and then get a Nick Batum version of a point guard and an upgrade to D'Anthony Melton. Send D'Anthony Melton to the bench. And I think the Nick Batum version of a point guard is Alex Caruso, because I look at Pat Beverly and I love him. Everyone critiques him
Yeah.
because he can't shoot and that he doesn't get guarded. But the
Mhm.
thing I love about Pat Beverly, and it's the same with Nick Batum, is they know their role, they accept their role, and they're always looking to give it back to Maxey. They know what the offense is. It's Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, or I'm doing something, I got to do what I got to do. Pat Bev, he doesn't get guarded, but he'll hit at least like one floater every now and again. And it's a huge
Mhm.
floater. He'll play defense, he'll hustle, and sometimes he sucks. But 95% of the time this season, he's been a positive impact. And I love what he brings because he's always making the extra pass. He'll dribble and create something out of nothing every now and again because he's not getting guarded. So if you can replace that smart IQ play with an actual threat, Alex Caruso, then you're talking. Because if you have Batum and Caruso as connectors on the court with Melton, Maxey, Oubre, whoever it is, Embiid, that's when you really unlock an offense, because putting Maxey and Embiid next to Melton and Tobias are inconsistent IQ-wise and decision-making.
Yeah.
We've seen that. So putting that next to Embiid, who's also very inconsistent IQ-wise and decision-making, it results in dumb turnovers and bad offense, stagnant offense.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at Batum's impact, and it's like, damn, he's not even that good, but he just enhances the offense. Like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, Batum is one of those guys that is like it's not even looking at the box score type of thing. It's just watching the game and seeing how everything works. And he's just so good at being a middle piece to a lot of things that happen. And when they start running the high low right off the beginning of the game with Batum and Embiid, and he's like, yeah, he plays like a point guard esque guy up there on the corner, and he's so good at putting the ball in the post right where Joel needs it, right? The perfect timing, like just a great entry pass guy to run that action with, and then he can step out and shoot a three. I mean, Nicholas Batum in the James Harden trade was such an underrated pickup. It was so underrated. I didn't see it coming. I was watching his highlights from the Clippers last year, the year before, but I mean, nobody could predict what you're going to look like next to a guy like Joel Embiid. And Batum is like the absolute perfect fit. Obviously, we're still missing Kelly Oubre. But yeah, I love Batum. Speaking of Joel Embiid, he was 1 assist shy of a 29-point triple-double, 30-point triple-double, 35. He had 35 because of all the free throws at the end. He finished with 35. Realistically, it was, a 28, 29-point game, but we'll leave it on the 35. 1 assist shy of a 35-point triple-double, which anybody that sports bets, if you were betting on a Joel Embiid triple-double and, 1 assist shy, this is why I don't bet on sports, is exactly what would happen if I bet on a Joel Embiid triple-double. He'd be 1 assist short. But the assists for Joel Embiid this season are, he's averaging 6 or 7, right? And he through his career, just off the top of my head, he's averaged like 4.5. It's a long season that could go down, but the assist numbers seem to be way up for Joel Embiid. And do you think he's improved as a passer? Like somebody, people say that, and I'm like, I don't know if he's actually improved as a passer. I've seen his passing ability plenty of times. It's 100% the system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, when he gets the ball in his hands, there's a pin down screen and a shooter coming wide open into the corner, or a backdoor cutter, or whatever. Now there's just a lot of options for him. And now more than ever, really, he has to figure out how to make those passes without turning over the ball, because when the cutter's there, it's his job to pass the ball. Where before it was just, hey, get the ball in the block, double team, triple team. Now try to make something up. Good luck. And he'd get 4.5 assists out of it. Now it's like a clear system that a lot of times sets him up for a very simple, easy assist, handoff assist, or whatever else. And I'm like, his assist numbers are just a product of the system running around him and all of the options that are going on there. But I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think he's improved that much as a passer. I think he's relatively the same as last year. My thing with Embiid is he just has moments where you're like, what are you doing, man?
The behind the head.
What are you doing? Yeah,
he wanted his 10th assist to be a two-handed behind the head Nikola Jokic dime to Batum.
Like, he has irrational confidence, and it's understandable because he's top 5 player in the league, top 3. But man, oh man, if he could just clean up just those dumb decisions sometimes. And it's not even like sometimes he just throws a pass not even close to the target. And I feel like it's just because he has huge hands. Um, but he's still, I mean, he's not a perfect player. And I think
Right.
the fan base has kind of taken him for granted because he's shown up short in the playoffs, gotten injured a ton. And I understand that, but I mean, he's still very, very good,
Yeah.
obviously. And I think at this point, for me at least, those like dumb moments that he has, they just annoy me that much more because I've seen all the good. So it's like when I see the good, I'm like, oh, whatever. It is what it is. So like, yeah, Joel's he's the reason we're gonna get past the second round if we ever do. Um, but yeah, those little moments, if you could just clean it up, and it's like IQ moments. It's like, don't force the dribble. Just give it back to Maxey. Like when he
Mhm.
got hurt tonight, he could have completely avoided that injury. Like, I want to hashtag ban Joel Embiid from dribbling above the 3-point line unless it's into a dribble handoff. He should never dribble more than 3 times above the 3-point line. Enough is enough. Quit the dribbling. You have Maxey. You got Tobias, who's having a career year. You got Kelly Oubre. You got DeAnthony Melton. Like, no, I'm kidding about Melton, but enough dribbling,
Melton's
in
been
my
shooting
opinion.
good recently.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. I think I'm on the side of Joel Embiid is who he is at this point, and he's
Yeah.
not going to change. Uh, he's been playing this way ever since he started playing. He
Mhm.
picked up the game late. He only started playing basketball at 16. Um, Most of the things that he's done are because he's such a genetic freak and just has such a ridiculous hand-eye coordination and ability, just skill ability and like a photographic memory to be able to just have a picture perfect jump shot form and all kinds of things without anybody really teaching him the right way. And so he got this far into the NBA and he's an NBA superstar, but he's really, when it comes to basketball IQ, still just a dude that picked up a basketball at 16 and he does dumb shit. And it's never gonna change. It's just not gonna change. I think you just have to you have to try your best with your offensive system and the players around him to minimize those things from happening. But like when he gets in hairy situations, and that's always when it happens. It's always when the intensity rises, the crowd's on their feet, the other defense is scrambling around him, trapping at half court, and he'll try to throw like a no-look baseball pass like over the behind his head or something for a big time turnover, or he'll try to drive through 3 people and get an offensive foul or whatever it is. I don't think it's going to change. I think you have to put players around him and have a system around him that's going to minimize those things. Joel, just is Joel. I just think in the grand scheme of things, the fan base takes him for granted. We went,
Yeah.
oh my God, before the process even started, there was 10 years of nobody. I remember hoping that Andre Iguodala was a superstar player. And you have one of the, I know everybody wants him to get out of the second round. Everybody wants to win a championship. None of this matters if you don't win a championship. Uh, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, I want to win too, but people want to take away all of his credibility as this historic offensively and defensively talented player. And like there's plenty of players in history that haven't won a championship that people talk about forever, and Joel Embiid's going to be one of them. But hopefully they can get the right team this time around him and get the right system around him to minimize those things, especially in big time playoff games and things. But I don't think his basketball IQ is going anywhere. I don't think it's going up or down at this point.
Yeah, I think
I
that's a
kind of
lost
laugh.
cause.
I'm like, that's Joel. There he is throwing a baseball pass in the
There
crunch
he
time.
is.
I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, he thinks he's better than he is, and he's an MVP candidate, obviously, but it's crazy.
Oh, with handling the ball, he
Sometimes.
definitely does. With handling
Yeah.
the ball in ISO situations, yeah, he thinks he is a
Like,
7'2" Kobe Bryant.
why was he dribbling in the situation where he got hurt tonight? Maxey was there just chilling,
The second
like,
time he landed on him.
waiting. And that's on Maxey too. Like this has happened multiple times in late game situations where
Yeah.
Joel has dribbled on the perimeter and Maxey could easily go and demand the ball. And you've seen Joel give him the ball multiple times. I feel like Maxey's got to start demanding the ball a little more too. It's not just on Embiid because obviously it's his team, but Maxey, you're on that level offensively.
No, that's a good
I
point.
think Oubre is very important to our defense, more than we realized, because the way I've been looking at Tobias Harris defensively lately, I don't know. He looks like he got something stuck up his booty because he's moving like very, very slow, constantly getting beat off the dribble. And I think having Oubre on the best forward all at all times mostly, and his length and him like rotating with long arms, I think that really helps out Tobias, because I don't know, Tobias has looked terrible defensively the last like 3 games at times.
Yeah, and missing box out opportunities. I didn't see any blatant
Yeah.
ones in this game. There was probably a few, but the games where they were, on that 6 games in 9 days span, he had a lot of backdoor cuts and box out opportunities where he just didn't move. People are really high on Tobias Harris right now. And people are prisoners of the moment. And with the Zach LaVine video that I put out, I wasn't saying we need to go give up a haul for Zach LaVine and all this stuff. There's a Bleacher Report trade that was like 3 first-round picks and Jaden Springer and someone else. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? The Bulls are in, and the Bulls are the ones in a disadvantage right here. They're the ones that are going to be just trying to get rid of this contract. It's not like everyone's chomping at the bit for Zach LaVine. Miami already said they're out. There's other tweets from reporters saying that there's not a lot of interest around the league because of his contract. I was saying if you can get him without giving up a whole lot, you do that because it's an upgrade over, and this is what triggered people in the comments, it's an upgrade over Tobias Harris. Zach LaVine's a better basketball player than Tobias Harris. I shouldn't have to explain that to people.
Yeah.
Is Zach LaVine a two-way superstar? Absolutely not. He's clearly a better basketball player than Tobias Harris. There's no, like, when it gets down to crunch time and Joel and Maxey 2-man game, and maybe Maxey's having a bad game and Joel can't buy a bucket, are we like, all right, let's go Tobias Harris, our third option. Let's go kill him. You don't even think about Tobias Harris. He's just a guy that's there. And if he hits a big 3, you're like, oh shit, Tobias hit a big 3. Good job. But Zach LaVine's the kind of guy that's at least a third option, and you would be like, we have a third guy that can get buckets, he just dropped a 50 piece a couple nights ago. He can score way more efficiently, just way more on a higher level than Tobias Harris. That's all I was saying. And the people are that there's very big Tobias Harris defenders right now because he started this season playing very well in a new system. I love it. But let's all pump the brakes on Tobias Harris, man. Let's not act like, oh my God. The people were saying you lose Tobias's defense if you trade him. I'm like, what are we talking about? What defense are we talking about? He plays good defense sometimes when he tries, but it's not end all be all lockdown defense. What in the hell? It's the Tobias Harris thing is crazy right now. And I wouldn't be shocked if he slowly turns back into the 14 point per game, guy. But
he will.
When you play bad teams and he can single out, smaller players on those post ups and stuff, he can get points. But I'm not gonna go crazy like these people and say that we can rely on Tobias Harris in big playoff matchups, because you can't do that. And I'm not saying you can rely on Zach LaVine in big playoff matchups, but the type of scorer Zach LaVine is, he's never played with a player that has the gravity that Joel Embiid plays with, that commands that attention. He's never. You put in Maxey in that situation also, and Nick Nurse being the creative coach that he is, maybe Zach LaVine looks like a way better player than he looks like in Chicago or when he was in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I went on a little Tobias Harris, Zach LaVine tangent there.
Yeah. My thing with Zach LaVine, I don't know. It's tough to. There's this like thing where I'm looking at the Suns. I see Devin Booker and Kevin Durant going crazy. I look at the Sixers. I see Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. When they're on top of their game, it's like, damn, that's enough offensively. And it's like the Suns have Bradley Beal, but I'm like, man, wouldn't they just rather Alex Caruso, an elite point of attack defender? Because I feel like so many times the Sixers are just helpless on the perimeter defensively, just
Mhm.
hopeless. Where blown by, blown by, blown by, and it's just Joel. Hopefully, and if Joel's not locked in like he was in the Cavs game, lob, lob, lob.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
SGA
Floater,
was
floater,
locked in.
floater.
SGA in the fourth quarter, he got a lot of touch fouls, especially the one that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
challenged and overturned. But yeah, he was just getting in the lane at will. Like 5 possessions in a row, he got to the free throw line by just getting in the lane. And it's SGA, but yeah, it'd be nice to have a player like Caruso to put on a guy like that to hopefully slow him down.
My thing with Zach LaVine is I feel like you could get what he does offensively at a cheaper price, so you don't have to take on that long contract because what I like about Tobias, and you know I'm a Tobias hater, but what I
Mhm.
like about him is he got size. At least he's got size. He doesn't use his size consistently, but he's got size. And with Tyrese Maxey being a liability on defense, he's improved for sure, but he still gets hunted, and there's going to be games where he sucks. I want as much size as possible. That's why I'm in favor of trading DeAnthony Melton at some point as well. Um, and I look at Bojan Bogdanovic. I'll be like, yo, he brings movement, shooting. He can run off a dribble handoff when he's hot. Buddy Hield. I feel like those two players bring the same thing. Not at the level of Zach LaVine, but I don't want to give up anything crazy for Zach LaVine. And I don't want to lose size because we got to battle Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown on the perimeter eventually. And the Bucks also have a lot of size. And I just feel like I'm looking at Nick Batum's impact. I just want high IQ connectors next to Embiid and Maxey.
Yeah.
And although there's going to be units in the regular season where you're like, damn, we need another ball handler, we need another shot creator.
Mhm.
I just feel like this whole third star thing, I think it's overrated. I really do, because I'm looking at the Nuggets and everything just fits so seamless when they're healthy. Obviously, they're not
Yeah.
healthy right now, so they dropped a couple games. But when they're all healthy, everything is just so a seamless fit.
Mhm.
And they don't really have a third star. I mean, Aaron Gordon, he's not a star. Michael Porter Jr., they're stars in their role. And I
Mhm.
look at Zach LaVine, and yes, we can get on Tobias Harris for his inconsistencies offensively, but Zach LaVine also has that same trait where he just is invisible at
Yeah.
times. Like when they were winning games, there was games where he didn't show up. So I think there's another side of Zach LaVine, kind of like there's another side of James Harden that we all saw. We were like in love with him during the honeymoon phase, and there's probably another side of we're seeing the other side of Tyrese Maxey. When he's the guy, he's being less aggressive. So I think you have your two alphas, Embiid and Maxey. I think the best opportunity you got to get to the championship is to get the most out of those two. And and you got Kelly Oubre as well. Like Kelly
Yeah.
Oubre is very like no, like I remember Doris Burke. She was like Jaylen Brown's injured or whatever while we were playing the Celtics. I was like, Kelly Oubre's not playing.
I know
He brings
everybody
yeah,
discounts Kelly Oubre like he doesn't exist.
he
Yeah.
he brings 19 points too, and he's a guy who has J.R. Smith confidence.
Yeah.
So he's another Zach LaVine type scoring
Dude,
player.
such
You
a
can
good
get those for cheaper.
dude,
And
such
I'm
a
looking
good
at that
point.
contract, and I don't want to just put all those chips into Maxey, Levine, and Embiid, because then Maxey's already unaggressive enough. Levine is coming in. He's got that big contract. He thinks he's the best player on the team offensively, probably, or under Embiid only. So then we got to worry about that dynamic. There's little things
Yeah.
like that where I get the point. I'm not against it, but I don't think it's like cut and dry. Okay, go for Zach LaVine. It's a no brainer.
Yeah. No, I know. When we went on a little bit of a losing streak, there's a lot of people on the social medias that are just like, just go get Zach LaVine already. And I'm like, you lost a couple games, dude. Pump the brakes. You don't need to go do something right now because you lost a couple games in a 6-game, 9-day span. I love the point about Oubre being a J.R. Smith kind of confident player because that's what's so great about him when we're in these moments in games where Tyrese Maxey's not attacking, or Tyrese is having a bad shooting night and he's backing away from the defense and passing the ball around the perimeter. And it's like, you get in those who's going to do something moments. And you put Kelly Oubre on the floor. He's like, I'll do something. Hey, guys, I'll just do something. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know, but I'm going to go do something because that's just what he does. He's just a guy that goes and tries things and you got to go through what he went through in his career, being passed around several teams and not being even known if he's going to sign a contract this year, to still have that level of confidence is actually like a little bit psychotic. Like he's like, that's really ingrained in his DNA. He's on a basketball court. There's no thought process at all. He's like, I'm a bucket getter. I don't care who thinks I'm not. I don't care. I'm going to score. And I love it. And maybe he has a little bit too much confidence on a BMX bike as well. Hopefully maybe that takes a back seat or whatever happened. I'm not going to go there, but
Sixers luck.
Love Kelly Oubre. But the Zach LaVine thing, speaking of the Nuggets and Michael Porter Jr., if you could get, now I know it's a massive overpay. I know his contract's a massive overpay, but if you could get Zach LaVine to understand you're the Michael Porter Jr. to Maxey and Embiid, you're the number 3. You're not competing to be the best. But I think that is probably the biggest issue you would be risking when trading for Zach LaVine, is that if you bring him in here and he thinks I'm a superstar because I'm being paid like a superstar, then you have an issue. But the reason the Bulls are $5 million with you being a superstar is because you're not a superstar. You're just Zach LaVine. So, we'll pay your outlandish contract if you can understand that you're a third option. But, I don't know if you can do that with him at this point. You're probably right about that with the ego part of it.
Yeah, I don't think he's not a guy you're going to give the ball to and like clear out and be like, yo, go get a bucket. Like he can do that if he's on, but he's not like, I mean, he is at times, but he needs like dribble handoffs and things like that. And I don't know. I just think he's kind of overrated, to be honest with you. I wouldn't mind him. It depends on the package.
Overrated.
It depends on the package, honestly. I don't want to give up size. I don't want to give up that Clippers pick. I don't even want to give up Springer. Actually, I would give up Melton, because having Melton and Zach LaVine, what's the point? What's the point of Melton? Like, Melton's there he's a great defender, but he's also small. I think he's a little overrated defensively. I think Zach LaVine could actually be really solid defensively in the Sixers Nick Nurse system. Yeah. I would definitely give up Melton if we were getting Zach LaVine. I'm holding on to Springer because his defense is incredible, and I think offensively he's going to come around. I just think he can't dribble really, and Nick Nurse is too afraid to give him minutes to overcome those, weaknesses, because he's trying to win as much as possible. Mm-hmm. But it really just depends on the asking price, and I think his price is pretty low because of that contract. So
yeah, that's what I mean.
If you do like Morris, Covington, I don't think Covington's going to be, I don't know. I like Covington though.
Well, you got to think about who's making the decisions here. And it's Daryl Morey. And I don't think Daryl Morey, Robert Covington, Nick Batum are random NBA players to him. And if he hears Zach LaVine's name and he can get him in a Sixers jersey,
I don't know.
If you just look at Daryl Morey's history.
Yeah. It sounds silly. Like I'm saying Covington for like a Zach LaVine type, but I went to the Suns game and I was like looking at Covington guard Kevin Durant, and it was the best defense I've seen from a Sixers wing in a while in terms of
like Robert Covington.
Kevin Durant at like 30, but like just in terms of physicality and making him work for everything. And when we were fully healthy, I just remember we were like actually competing with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, like in terms of size and wings. Like we had bodies to throw at them. And I like that feeling, especially with a defensive center in Joel Embiid. And like we're 4th in the NBA in offense. We're 12th in the league in defense. I do think those, defensive and offensive ratings are pretty overrated at times. But I don't know. Like at no point when we were losing, although fans were saying it, I really wasn't like, let's get Zach LaVine. I was more like, yo, Maxey, step up, be better. because Maxey was struggling like during our win streak in terms of like often, like he was putting up numbers, but they weren't as impactful as in the beginning of the year. And although Maxey's 23, he's capable, he's shown it, so he's got to be that guy. Sadly, that's where we're at. Like
Yeah,
he's got to be that.
we need to really assess the team when Kelly Oubre's back. That's just, I mean, yeah, he was a late off-season signing, and it wasn't planned to like have a guy that's that impactful. But yeah, the first 9, 10 games of the season, he was the number 3. He was a huge part of what we were doing, and he goes down with, like you said, just the most Sixers way for a player to get taken out of the lineup. But yeah, he's a massive part of it. And then it's like, oh, we need to trade. We need to figure out what's going on with this team. Oh, here we go. Same team, different coach. We're not going anywhere. I'm like, dude, we lost a guy that was contributing on a very high level for the first 10 games. So hopefully
And
he comes back healthy.
I look at the Miami Heat too. Like, come on now. You're telling me Maxey and Embiid ain't enough if they're on top of their game? If really perfect the system and put complementary pieces around them like Nick Batum, but more than one Nick Batum, because right now we have like Nick Batum and Kelly Oubre as elite role players. And I would say Melton's more of a bench guy. I don't think he's a starting guy, but I think he
Yeah.
would be a really good bench like for a championship contender. But look at the Miami Heat team last year. Like, come on. Maxey and Embiid are enough.
Yeah.
Either they're enough, or they're the reason they wouldn't be enough is because Embiid's not that guy.
Oh yeah,
And
we want to get
Embiid
to
and
go ahead.
Embiid might not be that guy. Like Embiid might not be that guy. He's shown he hasn't been that guy, but honestly, like it's tough to be that guy.
Yeah. Well, I've always gone back and forth with people on that because I never thought he was. I always just thought he was I've never put that kind of pressure on a center. A center to me was always a very vital part of a team, but not what center leads a team full of nobodies anywhere. It's just a center.
Mm.
Even somebody as good as Joel Embiid, if nobody around him can shoot, or you got a bunch of power forwards around him, there's no spacing, whatever, like we saw in a couple of years, 2019, 2020, whatever, all the Ben Simmons years, whatever. I'm like, he's still just a center that needs perimeter guards to essentially run the offense and lead the team. So, yeah, I mean, Maxey being as good as he is right now, or the thought when we traded for James Harden, put him next to him, like they've been trying to do that exactly. Like a player that can carry or at least quarterback the offense in big time games and big time situations. And, hopefully it's
Yeah,
Maxey now. But yeah, I never thought Joel Embiid can just take the ball and go drop 50. You've seen him be shut out in playoff games because there was no help around him.
yeah, and if you watch like the rest of the NBA, like the Sixers with what they're doing with their system and just what they look like when healthy, like when they're on top of their game, like that's a championship team. I'm not saying they're going to do that because it's easier said than done, but they have the pieces if Joel ups his play a little more in the second round because he's shown glimpses. Like last year, I think like games 3 through 6, he put up like 30 and 10, and he was pretty impactful. It's just the later stretch of the second round, he dies out, and he dies out late in games at times. So it's like if he can improve on those things, and also you add a Kelly Oubre, or you add that DeAnthony Melton game, like Nick Nurse was talking about how when they were in the playoffs, they had Norman Powell who would randomly have a game where he took over offensively. So it's like everyone wants to add, but the answer is get a cohesive team, get a good coach, and Embiid take that step like you're capable of, because he is capable. And whoever says he's
Uh-huh.
not, they're just saying that because they don't like him, or they just look at his, inconsistent playoff history. But Dirk Nowitzki, throughout his before he broke through, everyone would have said that about him.
Yep.
People were saying that about Jokic. People were saying that about Giannis.
Well, Dirk has one champion.
They're still saying that about Giannis now. Like
Yeah,
it's just
and Dirk ha
dumb
Dirk
narratives.
Dirk has one championship, right? And, does he? Did he have one with he didn't have one with Steve Nash, did he? They were
It's like Jason Kidd.
Yeah.
And
So he had all those years with Steve Nash, and they never got it done. And he has one championship. And yeah, people act like that. There's not another superstar on that roster, so people think Dirk Nowitzki took a nobodies to the finals over the or to the championship over the Miami Heat. But when you really look at that roster, Jason Kidd was still an absolute wizard genius with the ball at that point of his career. They had high level role players. Jason Terry was a bucket. Sean Marion. There was a lot of good players on that team. So, but yeah, that's a pretty good comparison. Embiid has been injured. We've yet to see a healthy Embiid in the playoffs. Let's not leave that out.
yeah.
Yeah, that's just Embiid's whole career. You just have to hope for that. There's nothing we can do about it.
Well,
Guess what?
he's gonna get injured, but he's proven he can play through it. So he's got to figure out maybe
Yeah.
not get
Well,
injured, but he's probably gonna get injured. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's injured
we're
already.
gonna need you to
So
not
it's
get
like
injured, Joel.
how do you get injured but also be effective like an MVP in the second round? And I think what they're doing with him this year, like in terms of just playing him pretty much through everything, I think it's better than load managing him because he needs to feel hurt during the regular season so he can play through that because he's going to
Good
feel
point.
hurt during the playoffs. Like Giannis was hurt all throughout his championship run,
Yeah.
even though that was a fake ring. Like that ring is like probably faker than the bubble, but we don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, banged up is one thing, but like torn meniscus, whatever, torn ligament in the thumb,
Yeah.
you're done. And Joel Embiid, yeah, he's been hurt every year. But he's just a player that you have to just hope that he doesn't get hurt. That's the life that we live right now in the Joel Embiid era. We every single year we put all of our eggs into one basket. If he gets hurt, we're screwed. There's a lot of people that think, oh, you got to go get Andre Drummond and or so you got to get some DeMarcus Cousins in case Joel Embiid gets hurt. And I'm like, if Joel Embiid gets hurt and you put in DeMarcus Cousins right now, you're losing just the same way you were going to lose with any other backup center you put in place of Joel Embiid, because if you don't have Joel Embiid, you're done. He's the Tom Brady of the team. If Tom Brady goes down, the Patriots don't win Super Bowls. It just is what it is. You have to hope that your star player doesn't get hurt. He's been hurt a lot so far. If he gets hurt again, we're done again. Just
He
the way it
will.
is.
He will. Like
Banged up is fine.
sadly.
Banged up, playing with a sore knee, playing with a like he
Yeah.
rolled the ankle tonight, stepping on a foot, whatever. That's fine. But if he tears a ligament in his thumb on his shooting hand and he's shooting a knuckleball, we're screwed. If he has a partially torn meniscus and he's out there with a brace and he can't move right, we're screwed. So it is what it is. But I like your point about the load managing, and kind of, first of all, I think it keeps him in better shape. That could probably prevent injuries more than the other way around. So maybe the load managing his whole career worked against him. And yeah, it's kind of teaching him, or not teaching him, but seeing if he can, be banged up and still play. And he's been banged up so far this season and still played. He landed on his hip in the Pacers game. Nobody talks about that Miles Turner takedown, by the way. Slammed him on his hip. The next game against the Pacers, he's not himself. He said he wasn't moving the way that he likes to move, and they lose, and they go on a little bit of a streak. Then he's out with a sore hip. I'm like, I told you his hip was sore. He's played banged up already this season. Now he's going to have a sore ankle because he landed on whose foot? Chet Holmgren fell down underneath of him under the basket. Then he landed on someone's foot on the perimeter. But yeah, he's going to be banged up. That's for sure. We just have to hope that it's not like he can't play type of injury, because we're done if that happens.
I'm just happy he's actually attacking the offensive glass, because last year he did not care about rebounding.
Yeah.
This year he's averaging 11.3 rebounds. Hold on, let me see how many offensive rebounds he's averaging. But Doc Rivers obviously did not tell him at all to crash the glass.
No,
So he's averaging a career high 3.1 offensive rebounds a game. So doing like little things like that, and I feel like he's probably setting way better screens than last year and actually being a willing screener. I think he's deferring more. He still doesn't defer as much as I would like him to. I would like him to do a little, maybe every once in a every game, maybe against the Wizards, just be like a Bam Adebayo, just set screens and chill, Don't go for 30 points, go for like 20 and 10 and 7. It's okay. We're good without your, superstar type things. But I think doing little things like that is going to help him come playoff time. And I also think the system will result in, and that's also why I'm like not, at a superstar, at a star, because I think Nick Nurse is actually bringing like winning things to the table that is actually going to help the team get over the top in the playoffs. And also, like, although we're the second round, make fun of us all you want, like, we've gotten close 7 games against Boston, and they have way more talent than us. So it's like, yes, it's embarrassing. Don't get me wrong. But also, there's hope if, because Nick Nurse is here, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. And just little things like that. Joel Embiid averaging a career high in offensive rebounds. From game, not game one. Something about the Bucks game was off with Joel. We were like, wow, he is rusty. Wow, he didn't do anything this offseason. But literally game two, his effort was through the roof, especially crashing the glass. And you even saw that, just tonight. He's crashing the boards. He's down there fighting for rebounds. Before, yeah, he wasn't even boxing people out for 6 years of his career. He wasn't boxing out. He just got rebounds because he's tall, and he would finish games with like 7 rebounds. And we were always like, how is this dude this big and strong and is finishing games with 7 rebounds? And it's just an effort thing on the glass. He's been lazy a lot of his career. He got here because he's so gifted, and a lot of guys, they can get here because they're so gifted, and then it's like, okay, can you take it to the next level by actually putting in the work to fix this, or this? There's this guy that refused to shoot for 5 years that just decided, now just quit playing basketball instead of fixing something to try to take it to the next level. Another guy that got to the league based on just natural gifts. But yeah, Joel this season is putting an effort in the areas that he has been rightfully slandered for in the past. And that is 100% Nick Nurse for sure. It's like, this ain't going to fly. And that's what we've needed this whole time, his whole career, is to look at the film and say, I don't care if you think you're a superstar or whatever. This right here is not going to fly. Get your ass under the rim, box out, get some rebounds. You shouldn't be 7-2, averaging 4, 5, 6 rebounds. And I think he's Nick Nurse is finally a coach that's not afraid to say those kinds of things to star players. He did it with Kyle Lowry and Kawhi Leonard and those guys in Toronto. So, yeah.
I don't even think, like, I think Nick Nurse is probably like not as, I don't think he's holding them as accountable as he's probably gonna in like 5 months, because he's still, working on the relationship. So I think if Joel, like, remember what he did against Milwaukee, where he like we had the momentum and he just like randomly dribbled to the 3-point line, had a terrible turnover, completely flipped the game. And then he had another like bad instance. I think if he does that, like in a meaningful game late in the season in the playoffs, I think Nick Nurse would rip him a new one. But I don't think this early in their relationship, like Nick Nurse feels like comfortable doing that, because he doesn't want to damage. Like, you got to build up to that stuff, or it's just gonna, affect the relationship. And that's when we're gonna find out about Embiid, because I think he'll respond well because he had Jimmy Butler. We saw what happened when PJ Tucker held him accountable in that playoff series.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited for things like that, because I know it's coming. I could tell like Nick Nurse he's taking a step back because he's still new here. He doesn't want to rub them the wrong way quite yet. Because
we're gonna find out. We're gonna this year. This year we're gonna find out a lot, man. When we get into like March, April, and May, and start getting towards the playoffs, we're gonna find out a lot. And then obviously the playoffs, we're gonna find out a lot. You're pretty much, again, you need to beat Boston. You're pretty much, even an Eastern Conference Finals appearance, if you lose to Boston, that's not enough. You need to beat Boston, and they can beat Boston. I watched them beat Boston this season. We saw them beat Boston. They can beat Boston. I know Boston Celtics fans are acting like the second game that they beat us without Jaylen Brown is the only game that mattered, even though I could argue you kind of look a little bit better without Jaylen Brown taking the ball away from Jason Tatum. I don't know why you paid him $300 million. It's redundant. But anyway, you need to beat the Celtics, yeah. I got nothing else on this game, man. You got anything else? I thought it was a good win. I thought it was nice to play the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think they're a good team with a lot of talent, a lot of shooters, a lot of defenders, a lot of guys that can just move the ball around and catch and shoot. And, You know, if we were playing like we played in that second Pacers game or that Cavs game or whatever, we would have got ran out of the building by this team. So I thought it was a great win for us.
Yeah, it was a good one. Um, I just want to keep winning, to be honest. You know, that would be great. We got the Lakers next.
Never losing
That's
again would be amazing.
never just don't lose ever again. No, but Boston beatable. Very beatable with their dumb offensive system. Just chuck up threes. I mean, they're relying on Sam Hauser for big minutes. Porzingis, oh, he could shoot pick and pop. Cool. Defensively, they lose interior presence. Um, I don't know. Boston, they're beatable. I mean,
Mhm.
they,
They
they
are.
have great they have great role players. I think Derek White is arguably their best player. So
Derek White
there's
is
that.
amazing, and I hate how
They're-
I hate how good Derek White is, and he's so damn good, and he's so much better than he normally is when he plays against us. But he's great. And I hate Derek White. Yeah, he's great. They have a lot of good
yeah,
role players, but yeah, they are beatable. Mr. Rudy Joel is a really good power forward. We need a real center to set screens. His screening effort is horrendous. Uh, I think Joel's body language gives off a perception a lot. He's just has a Dopic way about him. He looks lazy when he runs. He looks lazy
yeah,
when he sets screens. It's just the way it's going to be. If he sets a hard screen, guess what? It's an offensive foul 100 times out of 100 because the player's just going to run into him and fall over, which is another thing that I hate about the NBA. Uh,
yeah,
and you can't possibly think that you can play Joel Embiid at power forward and put another center on the floor after what we saw with Al Horford and Joel in that 2019 absolute debacle of a roster. I Joel is what he is. He just is. He just is. You got to live with what he is, man. He is what he is. There, he is. He is. Always thanks for the support, Mr.
yeah.
Rudy. You're the man.
Yep,
I always love your opinion. I just think Joel is what he is, and we got to live with it. It's not going to change, and they're not going to
yep.
put a center on the floor with him. You got
Yeah,
anything
he
else,
is what he
Rob?
is. Nah, Joel is what he is. I think he could get a little smarter though, to be honest.
You
I
think he
hope
will?
Nurse.
You
I
think he
think he
can, but do
can
you think
get.
he will?
I don't think he will. Probably not. He's got too much pride, man.
You think he has pride?
He thinks he really thinks he's Kevin Durant. Like truly, there's no other explanation for him to be doing between the legs crossovers through double teams. He truly thinks he's Kevin Durant. That's probably why he's so good. And that's probably why he can do
And
weird fadeaways, but
And when his career is over, there's going to be highlight reels of things like that. And people are going to
yeah.
be like, wow, look what this guy did at his size. Dribble through the legs, step back, Steph Curry, fadeaway three when he hit that, right? But there's like a million other times where he dribbled the ball off the side of his foot, but they won't show that.
Yeah.
He's going to have amazing highlights on stuff
If
like
I
that.
ever get to interview Joel Embiid, my first question would be, why do you dribble so much? And he would he would probably laugh at my face and just walk away. But like I legitimately want to hear his answer. Why does he dribble above the 3-point line so much when that consistently gets him turnovers?
I definitely think it is part of Nick Nurse's plan, obviously, to get him in the right spots, making quicker decisions, and
Yeah.
minimize him having the ball at the top of the key. I definitely think when you're in playoff situations, game sevens, you're not going to be in a Brett Brown situation or a Doc Rivers situation where you need a bucket and you're just inbounding the ball to Joel and beat outside the 3-point line. It was just there's no way that's happening with Nick Nurse, even though he did just do it the other night in an overtime game to try to win it. In the fourth, he gave it to Joel, and he shot a jump shot over Tristan Thompson.
I
But the
actually like
final
that
play,
play, by the way.
yeah, I mean, he had the jumper going all night, and like if he hits it, he's a hero. But the play in overtime where they inbound to Embiid and Maxey's running from half court, and that's more
Oh,
of
that
a
was
Nick Nurse
beautiful.
type of play. Yeah,
That was beautiful. The reason
and he
I'm
missed the
fine with
layup.
that, the reason I was fine with that first play is there was great spacing and he looked comfortable when he was dribbling. He didn't look like he was about to fall over. Like sometimes when he dribbles, you could just tell it's going wrong. There he looked like
Yeah,
there was like a lot of space, so I was confident. And he didn't, mess around. He knew what he was doing. He got to his spot and he just missed. Like you just got to make that. And he had like a shot like that against Nurkic last year. He did like a spin move on that move, but it was like the same type of situation where if he makes it, he's a hero. But if he misses, people will be like, why is he settling?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Joel's just, the reactions after that were crazy. We're never going anywhere with this guy. He thinks he's a guard. He's just going to do this all the time. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. Because if he hits it, he's a hero. If he misses it, he hate him. Yeah, that's what it is. This has been Sixers Postgame Live. Run it back, Philly. Sixers Talk with Romp. We'll see you guys soon. We're going to try to do this as much as we can for the rest of the season. Postgame Live after every game. All right.
Peace.
Thanks, Romp. See you soon.
See ya.